Tonight is the beginning of the single series elimination matches. By my opinion, it is SmackDown that needs to be eliminated because lately this show has sucked. Welcome back, guys, to Fog Wrestling here to review SmackDown from the 29th of August 2002. And a lot of people say that we just blindly love wrestling from the past, that we criticize current wrestling, that we never give current wrestling credit, and we always love whatever happened back in the day. I believe there's an idiot that says it's a nostalgia thing, and that is truly not the case, because I think the last couple of SmackDowns have been really poor, and we've basically dissected them and criticized them and gave them really low ratings compared to the other 2002 standards. So yeah, for me, SmackDown just not in a good place at the moment, and I think tonight's SmackDown might be the worst one we have seen since the brand split. Probably the worst SmackDown, arguably maybe the worst SmackDown.
It could be. And you know what I like my wrestling shows? Clarity. And it's not what we got here to kick off the show.
No, but let's be honest, I mean, SmackDown's only been going since 99. I think this could be the worst SmackDown we've seen.
Yeah. Because it's hard to think of a worse SmackDown in the years 2001, 2099, and then I'm just thinking of this year, 2002.
Well, for me, it's the worst one since the brand split.
Yeah, it has to be then.
Easily the worst one since the brand split, so I'm trying to go back before the brand split, and no, you just think of, because before the brand split, think of the rosters, think of the people that would have been on the shows, your Rocks and Austins. I find it hard to believe that there's been a SmackDown that I enjoyed less than this one I enjoyed tonight.
No, me too. It lacked quality, and like I say, it's just, Stephanie comes out here to kick off the show, guys, and announces a single elimination series of matches. This screams like current day when, you get all the marks. Oh, Vince McMahon, he ripped the script up with 3 minutes to go. Does that not what this smells of?
Yeah, just, there was no clarity, there was no... After this announcement, you'd no idea what we were getting. She just says we're getting a single elimination series of matches. What the hell does that mean? Does that mean we're getting... It's like a bunch of matches and then winner moves on, and at the end of the night we're getting all the winners in a match? Or basically what we got was, it was like a gauntlet, but it was split up into individual matches, and it was just dumb. We didn't get told who the participants were. She kind of just made it up on the fly as you go, and during the night you had people asking to get put into the match. I mean, you'd Kurt Angle halfway through the night not even knowing if he was part of it or not, and he didn't even seem too bothered. It's like, the whole thing sucked in my opinion.
I know, but she explains it in like 90 seconds, and then we cut to a match between Edge and Guerrero. Like, I'm a fan of promos kicking off shows, but normally, when it's like 10 minutes long, like Bischoff does a masterful job, man, of explaining things. Stephanie McMahon is just thrown into the deep end, and it's fucking sink or swim.
If I had to rate the Stephanie McMahon general manager stint so far out of 10, I'd probably give her like a 3 or a 4. I don't think it's been good.
And what I think makes it worse, because she's up against Bischoff.
What makes it worse, though, is because she is against Bischoff.
But he helps her in the segments they're with each other.
He does, but he just does such a good job. There's not, since Bischoff's been the Raw general manager, I'm struggling to think of one segment where I'm thinking, oh, that wasn't good.
Yeah.
I'm not saying everyone's great, but I don't think we've seen a bad Eric Bischoff segment, whereas Stephanie McMahon, I don't think we see her as often as we see Eric Bischoff, and I don't think when we do see her, I don't think the segments are as good. I think a lot of Stephanie McMahon's segments since being the GM is basically just her kind of like bullying and belittling the SmackDown roster, throwing her weight around, throwing her power around, basically reminding everyone that she's in charge, she's a McMahon, you can't watch Raw, you can't do this, you can't do that. Eric Bischoff is actually treating Raw as if it's real. He's trying to get the best ratings. He's trying to put on the best show. He's trying to do his best to make sure that Monday Night Raw is the most watched television program in the world. And every single week, he's trying to be entertaining. He's trying to put on the best matches. Whereas Stephanie McMahon, you feel like her kind of sole mission so far is just to basically let everyone know that I'm in charge. And I think she's failing.
Yeah, and when you try that gimmick, we get it in the first week, not months down the line. And I've got a feeling up until she's removed and you see the likes of Heyman or Angle or whoever, it's just going to be the same stick every week, isn't it? Realistically. But Edge against Guerrero, we just seen it at SummerSlam. Make sure you check out the ranking every match at SummerSlam. It finished in last place, and for me, this match wasn't any better.
No, wasn't any good. The ending wasn't good. Eddie holds up the chair. Edge goes for the spear, hits the chair, then Eddie hits the frog splash. Edge's spear into the chair looked a little bit weak, and then the frog splash didn't look that great either.
It was very slow. It's not like he did it straight away. It was like a 20-second pause in between moves.
We have Edge winning at the pay-per-view. Eddie Guerrero getting the win back tonight. Eddie Guerrero advances in this tournament, or at least we think he does. At this point, we've no idea what happens. Eddie wins, but what does that actually mean in reality? We then go backstage. Matt tells Stephanie the fans love him and May Hogan's son. Matt says he's ready to be the next man in the series of elimination matches. Steph says that Rikishi will be next in line. Matt's like, okay, well, obviously, I'm taking on the winner of that match, right? Steph then tells Matt, we'll see. So even at this point, like, we've got no more real clarity. All we know is that Rikishi is next. We don't know how many people is in this tournament. It's like we literally one match, we have a tournament match, and the next match is a non-tournament match. It just makes no sense to me. If they were going to do it this way, why not just have a fucking gauntlet?
Yeah, the gauntlet would have been so much better. Back to back. Instead, you've just got these like matches that just feel so not important, man. Like realistically, I don't see why you just couldn't had a bigger tournament that lasted over a couple of weeks. But they went with this.
We don't know the order. We don't know how many people's in it. It just seems very thrown together here. It's not a good idea.
Yeah, and it's like Edge and Guerrero is like that kicks off. But like Rikishi, who didn't even have a spot on SummerSlam, gets thrown into the next round. What's going on? But John Cena, a guy who, if it was done today, would definitely get a spot in these sort of tournaments, gets beat by Reverend Devon.
Reverend Devon.
He's calm, isn't he?
Beats John Cena. I think this is beginning to spell the beginning of the end for John Cena.
He's going to start rapping soon.
I like John Cena, but let's be honest, he came out, slapped the angle and said ruthless aggression. Since then, it's been downhill.
Yeah.
He had a great debut and he had a good debut match, but week by week by week, he's got further away from Kurt Angle, and he has got worse.
No, he's regressed big time.
And now he's jobbing it to Devon.
He came out here and just smiled at the crowd like a goofball.
He's jobbing it to Devon, when was the last time Devon?
Devon's jobbing it to Batista.
When was the last time Devon won a match? Batista comes out, hits a clothesline and a power bomb. Batista bomb on Reverend Devon. Are we getting a Batista-Devon match at a pay-per-view? I highly doubt it. We'll see though. Probably going to settle for SmackDown. Then we got Ray versus Rico with Billy and Chuck. We got a nice little video package for Rey Mysterio, but we've already seen it, so don't really need to see it again. Ray wins with the 619 and the West Coast Pop. Then we go backstage. Stephanie McMahon, Hardcore Holly, and Dawn Marie. Holly says he deserves to be in the Elimination Series. Dawn Marie interrupts and tells Stephanie there's an important phone call waiting. Steph's like, I have to go here, Hardcore. This phone call's important. Hardcore bitches to Dawn Marie that there's no phone call more important than Hardcore Holly. So Hardcore Holly wants in the elimination match. Doesn't look like he's getting in it. Why can't the guy get in it? I mean, it doesn't look like there's a set number of people. It doesn't look like there's a set order.
How does he know he's not in it?
Well, true, he doesn't.
No one knows.
It's a mess. And then Hardcore Holly says what phone call is more important than him.
Who better than Ken?
Last time we seen this guy, he was backstage watching Raw and got scalded by Stephanie. Why does Hardcore... Well, we seen him last week as well, getting bragged to by Matt Hardy that he's the man. Well, that's 2 weeks ago. But my point stands, like, why does Hardcore Holly think all of a sudden he is important and that he deserves a match in this single series elimination?
No idea. And you know what? We've got Stephanie McMahon up next again, and it just feels like we're getting Stephanie McMahon a lot. Matt Hardy comes in while she's on the phone. She's talking about, you won't be getting treated like that on SmackDown. To her, who's on the phone? You got treated like a dog on Raw. Matt Hardy comes in, he's like, oh, you got to put me in the next round. She's like, no, I'm on the phone. I'll send Dawn Marie to the hotels right away, she says. So who's going to sign the contract? Who knows? But then Matt Hardy leans over and he turns off the phone. He hangs it up. God damn it, Matt. What are you doing? What is Matt doing?
He's getting himself in trouble because Steph then says, if you really want a shot against Brock Lesnar, then you're getting it tonight. Non-title match. You versus Brock. Matt, though's delighted with this. He's buzzing. He's loving life. Not sure why.
See with Stephanie though, it's just so scripted and forced. Nothing feels natural. Like, you just see these things coming a mile off, don't you?
Well, there's not much natural left on Stephanie McMahon, but we'll move into the next spot. It was Mark Lloyd and Rikishi backstage. Rikishi's talking about how he was F5'd a few weeks ago and he wants revenge.
Yes.
He says he wants to give Brock a piece of the kish. Eddie jumps in and mocks Rikishi. Eddie says that Rikishi's diaper is too tight, they say. And that Rikishi then asks Eddie, how do you say back that ass up in Spanish? And this is going to be the next match. Rikishi versus Eddie Guerrero. And Rikishi wins. Rikishi beats Eddie. Relatively easy. But then Chris Benoit comes out, starts beating down Rikishi. And then all of a sudden you're thinking, well, I guess Benoit's the next man in the series. Is the match going to happen right here, right now? No, it's not, because Edge comes down, makes a save. We then go backstage. Stephanie McMahon is there with Chris Benoit, and you just know what's coming. You know she's going to put him into the match, and she does. She says that Benoit must be upset after losing the IC title to Raw, and she's going to give him a chance to take out his aggression on Rikishi, because he is next in the elimination match. So I don't know why Stephanie's rewarding the guy that lost the IC title to Raw, but she isn't giving Matt Hardy and Hardcore Holly a chance in this series.
I know what gets me though, right?
I don't get that.
You look at Benoit and Guerrero, there's no context or like story to their beatdowns. It's just beating up people. Look at the Un-Americans. I actually got a gimmick. It's so much better done.
Yeah, like why?
These are just two guys beating people up.
If Benoit doesn't know he's next, why the fuck would he come out and attack Rikishi?
Because I'm best friends with the hermano.
No, but if Benoit is next in the series, that makes sense for him to come out and attack Rikishi and try and weaken him.
Yeah.
Which is what I originally thought when we seen him come out, but then they don't announce him in it until the next segment, so what sense did it make? I mean, not a lot. Then we get Shannon Moore with quite possibly the worst theme song in wrestling. Name me a worse one. It sounded like a wee intro, like a game show. It's like, come on down, you know, like someone's in the crowd and they have to run down to take part in the game show.
So nice, we had to hear it twice because he beat Tajiri, and that's not what I wanted to hear.
I think Shannon Moore's won every match, and it's not even in the tag team matches. He's the one getting the pins.
Yeah.
Like, what's happening? Is this a rip?
Yeah. Why is this guy not in the elimination match?
Because he'd probably fucking win it. That's why. I don't understand why Shannon Moore's winning every single match, but he is at the moment. He's pretty much unbeatable.
Yeah. Up next, we've got Rikishi taking on Chris Benoit. Benoit wins, and it just seems to be a trend in these matches. I know we've only had like, what, 3 at this point, but it's just like the next guy wins because the other guy's like been beat up. That's pretty much it.
Which does make sense, to be fair.
No, it does make sense, but... And then, just... The whole concept, though, of, like, people... It just screams to me that SmackDown... It's like, here, we don't have enough stars to cover an entire show, so we're going to have to use multiple people twice. And I feel like using Guerrero and Benoit in that role is just not the way to go. I feel like Angle is the way to go. And we only got Kurt Angle in the next segment talking to Mark Lloyd, and he doesn't have fucking Scooby. What's going on?
Yeah, Kurt Angle doesn't know if he's going to be in it or not. Shouldn't Kurt Angle be a little bit panicking here? Shouldn't he be eager to find out whether he's in the tournament or not? How does he find out? Does he just wait and see if his music plays? Like, it fucking makes no sense.
No, it really doesn't.
Like, what they could have done was, she could have said how many people were in it at the start of the show, and maybe they could have had like a trombone thing, and they could have picked out numbers for their entry.
Yeah.
You could have done something cool like that, and then, you know, the participants, or at least at the start of the show, she could say there's going to be there's 6 men competing in this elimination series, but we don't get that. So we don't even know Kurt Angle if he's going to be in it or if he's not going to be in it, but he brags about beating Rey Mysterio at SummerSlam, and Kurt Angle says that he's certain he'll be taking on Chris Benoit next.
Yep.
He doesn't know, but he's certain.
So who knows? But he does say Brock may be the youngest champ, but he's the best champ. Damn it. Don't know, Kurt, you might not get him. You might not get that number one contendership, but a guy that could get it, Funaki, is he going to be the guy in the main event? He's standing outside of Brock Lesnar's locker room. We've got him and Heyman talking. Not really an awful lot happens here, apart from Matt Hardy comes in. Yeah. He says it's not going to be the era of Brock Lesnar, it's going to be the era of Matt Hardy. Get rid of the attitude, replace it with Mattitude. Oh yeah, Paul Heyman says he learns something new every day, and that Matt Hardy is a death wish, and then Funaki's just looking really surprised and scared, doesn't really know what's going on.
I thought Matt Hardy done a good job in this SmackDown, but it wasn't enough to save it for me.
Yeah, well, no, he did, because
it was one of the better things about SmackDown tonight.
I thought the next match was really good. Brock and Matt, hard hitting.
I mean, Matt
each
barely
spot looked good.
Yeah, he barely got any offense in, but when he did, it was a nice amount. This is how a Brock Lesnar Matt Hardy match should be, though.
Yeah,
there's no need for Matt Hardy at the end to get like a minute's worth of offense.
If you want to look how to sell, you watch this match. Brock's selling stuff for Matt, and Matt's like killing himself for Brock.
Yeah, Brock's just hitting simple moves, and Matt Hardy's selling it like he's being killed. None of this super kick 24/7 shite, but good match. Brock Lesnar demolishes Matt Hardy, but Matt Hardy's still got a couple of licks in on Brock. After the match, Brock hit a double powerbomb on Matt. So yeah, Brock Lesnar beating up Matt Hardy in this non-title match. Then we go backstage. Stephanie McMahon and Dawn Marie. Dawn Marie has returned with the signed papers for a Raw defector. Stephanie then says it looks like the main event will now be a triple threat match. Turns out Kurt Angle's in the main event. We didn't know until now. We're just finding out now Kurt Angle's in this main event.
Yeah, it's just a mess, isn't it, really? Like, Kurt, I just don't understand this. It must have been a gimmick, though, of like they've just ripped the show up as they were going along. It must be, because I don't get this. Like, Brock Lesnar's been such a focal point of SmackDown, but tonight he did nothing really apart from beat up Matt Hardy.
Yeah, we didn't even get to see Brock earlier in the night. We've seen Heyman stand outside his locker room.
And then it's weird, like, it seemed like Edge and, like, Guerrero were, like, such big points of this SmackDown, this tournament, and then, like, all of a sudden they just vanish. Rikishi as well. Like, normally there'd be, like, an overlasting, like, effect, but, you know what? As bad as this show was, this was a pretty good main event. It turns out that the new superstar on SmackDown is The Undertaker. We were fearing the Big Show, but thankfully it was The Undertaker. Very good match, though. Not quite as good as the Vengeance match, obviously.
No, but I tell you what, for a SmackDown match, it was great. For a TV match, it was fantastic. Probably the best TV match I think we've seen in a while.
I'd say so, absolutely. Easily.
An Undertaker didn't get much offense in, to be honest. I thought Kurt Angle and Benoit looked great.
No, they did. And you know what? It is a new era of SmackDown, and looking forward to seeing... It's weird, though, because like, you're so used to Taker being on both brands and then on Raw there for a wee bit. Now it's like, that's him SmackDown for, like, ever.
I just don't know if I really like this, so... I think there's been too much people swapping about. I understand maybe they looked at the rosters and didn't think they were balanced properly. They didn't like who was on what show. But I do think there's been too much defecting from one show to another. I kind of wish we would just draw a line and be like, right, the people on SmackDown are on SmackDown and the people on Raw are on Raw. Because that's pretty much how it was until we got the introduction of Bischoff and Stephanie. Yeah, ever since those two came in, we've seen people constantly switch brands.
At least they're going the right way about it, though, with contracts and things like that.
Rather than just people randomly turning up. I get that, but sooner or later, surely we've got to draw a line and be like, right, that's the end of it.
Surely. But guys, it's time for your rating. Post-SmackDown edition of SummerSlam, I am going to give it a...
I'm going to get a 4. Because...
2 4s.
2 4s. I thought the main event was great, and I liked the Matt Hardy stuff, so therefore, yeah, that's it. Other than that, though, I can't sit here and say... I mean, we had an Angle promo, and it didn't really do much for me.
Honestly, the first hour of this show's probably about 2.
None of the series matches really did anything for me. I enjoyed the Matt Hardy segments, and I thought the main event was great, so I'm giving it a 4 out of 10. I mean, you take away the main event, and this could have been like a 2.
Yeah, easily. But anyway, guys, that's us done. We're back very soon. We've got September second edition of Monday Night Raw on the build up to Unforgiven. So until then, peace.